Good evening from Mission Control in Houston in the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Here's a look at the Orbit 3 team, led by Flight Director Diane Daly and her team of flight controllers working in tandem with Russian flight controllers half a world away at the Russian Mission Control Center on the outskirts of Moscow. Teams are monitoring the automated arrival of the uncrewed Progress 95 spacecraft. It'll dock to the aft port of the Zvezda service module here in about 45 minutes. This is its final leg of its 2-day 33-orbit journey, carrying nearly 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies to the Expedition 74 crew of 7 living and working on the International Space Station. And here you see on your screen, just activated at the time we began coverage, we have a view from the external television camera on the Progress spacecraft. It's looking at the International Space Station. You can see a little bit above the center of the screen there. The numbers we're going to be looking at today are on the lower left-hand corner. You see 2 values. The upper of the 2 shows the distance between Progress and the International Space Station, which is about 10 kilometers between the 2 vehicles currently. Then at the bottom, that is the rate of closure, currently around 15 meters per second, and that'll drop down to 1/10 of a meter per second at the time of contact and capture.
The station in the crosshairs, Rendezvous and Mach 001.
Here's a look at the Russian flight control team in the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow, who are closely monitoring the automated arrival of Progress today and have been doing so since launch just over 2 days ago. While the Corps' automated docking system handles the approach and docking, they are in control and can send commands to Progress if needed. Right now, the Progress 95 cargo spacecraft is currently closing in on 9 kilometers away from the International Space Station ahead of its planned docking at approximately 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
We have command, we'll cover 2D.
Both Progress and the International Space Station are currently flying over the Western Pacific. The automated Progress spacecraft has been conducting a series of pre-programmed impulse burns to fine-tune and raise its path to meet up with the International Space Station.
We'll cover 2D.
All impulse burns have performed nominally, no issues reported, as Progress steadily makes its way toward the aft port of the Zvezda service module and makes its arrival at the space station.
On component 1.
The Corps' automated docking system has completed its checkouts and is ready to guide the uncrewed cargo spacecraft to the aft port of the Zvezda module, where it will spend nearly 7 months docked to the orbiting laboratory.
Fuel BPS on the bus 21 activated. Range 8.
Progress 95 began its journey to the International Space Station just over 2 days ago on Saturday, April 25th at 5:21 p.m. here Houston time, and early Sunday morning at 3:21 a.m. Baikonur time. That was April 26th. Progress lifted off from Launch Pad 6, Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan atop a Soyuz 2.1A booster. All 3 stages performed nominally during its 8-minute and 49-second powered flight to reach its preliminary orbit. And since then, its 33-orbit rendezvous, catching up to the International Space Station, brings us here today. Its automated, the automated Progress spacecraft has been conducting a series of pre-programmed impulse burns to fine-tune and raise its path to reach station. And again, all impulse burns have performed nominally. No issues have been reported.
Range 7.5 kilometers. 10.7 range rate. Seven kilometers range, 10 meters.
In about 20 minutes, Progress will arrive in the neighborhood of the space station, about 400 meters out, to begin its fly around. That fly around with an angle of about 15 degrees, it'll enable Progress to precisely align its forward docking probe with the aft port of the Zvezda service module. And tracking docking about 39 minutes from now. The uncrewed Progress 95 cargo spacecraft is carrying nearly 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies. This breaks down to 2.8 tons, or 5,748 pounds. That's 2,971 pounds of dry cargo, including hardware, food, and experiments. 1,741 pounds of fuel, 926 pounds of water, and 110 pounds of oxygen and air. Let's take a look at the 7 Expedition 74 crew members living and working aboard the International Space Station. At the top are the crew of 4 that arrived on February 14th via NASA's SpaceX Crew 12 mission aboard the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. From left to right are NASA astronauts Jessica Meir, Jack Hathaway, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adano, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev. Upon their arrival to the space station in February, they joined the below crew of 3 that arrived to the International Space Station aboard the Soyuz MS-28 on Thanksgiving, which was November 27th. From left to right are International Space Station Commander and Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kud-Sirchkov, NASA astronaut in the middle Chris Williams, and cosmonaut Sergei Mikheyev. As you can see here from the external television camera on the Progress spacecraft, Progress is about 5 kilometers away from the International Space Station, closing in on about 8 meters per second. Progress will slow down to the very slow speed of 1/10 of a meter per second upon capture.
I hear you loud and clear on 1.
I hear you as well. We are troubleshooting Moscow not being able to hear you and you not being able to hear Moscow.
Yes, affirmative. So continue monitoring approach. Everything's nominal.
Houston copies. We will relay.
Дальность 4,5 километра, скорость 8,6.
4.5 kilometers, 8.6 range rate. The station is in the center of crosshairs.
As you just heard from our Capcom and Mission Control here in Houston, talking to International Space Station Commander Sergei Kudzyrchkov, there's a comms issue in the circuitry in the MCC in Houston and to MCC in Moscow. There is no impact to rendezvous and docking.
4 kilometers range, 8.6 range rate. Observing the station in the center of crosshairs.
Monitoring today's arrival of Progress 95, our International Space Station Commander Sergei Kudzyrchkov and Sergei Mikhaev. They're currently situated at a control panel in the service module with Toru, which is the telerobotically operated rendezvous unit. Toru is the backup rendezvous system, and cosmonauts would fly Progress manually if there was an issue with the core's automated docking system. As of right now, all systems have checked out on cores and there are no issues. Rendezvous is proceeding nominally without any issues during this comm glitch that was just reported, and that comm glitch is between MCC Houston and MCC Moscow.
Дальность
3 kilometers, 8.5 range rate. The station in the center of the tower.
Есть включение эскады.
SCADA activation is confirmed.
Выполняется обратный разворот.
Role reversal is in progress, and range is 2 kilometers, range rate 4.2 meters per second.
As you heard, the latest impulse burn was performed nominally, and progress is now approaching at about 2 kilometers away between the spacecraft and the space station, closing in at a rate of a little over 7, or about 4 meters per second.
Наблюдаю возвращение станции.
The ISS is back in the center of the video monitor crosshairs.
Дальность.
Range is 1700 meters and range rate 4.2.
Работает по странице 2.
I'm on page 20, activating Toru mode.
Выполню выдачу команды включения.
Tour activation command sent, and I'm starting the tests per page 21.
Aboard the International Space Station's Zvezda service module, cosmonauts Sergei Kudzverchkov and Sergei Mikheyev are conducting a routine test of the Toru system, or the telerobotically operated Rendezvous unit, which is the backup Rendezvous unit. Toru would only be used in the unlikely event of a last-minute issue occurred with the automated course Rendezvous system that is in control right now and performing nominally. This is a routine test. We're expecting the Progress to perform its fly around the station in about 7 minutes from now.
Network command and the hand controllers are powered up.
Выдана команда PUL BPS исходная.
PUL BPS initial command is sent.
Выдана команда BPS.
BPS initial command is sent, and the central LEDs are illuminated.
Дальность 1000
Range is 1280 meters, and range rate is 4.03 meters per second. Armrests are secured, and I'm starting the RHC test. RHC up. All 4 LEDs are illuminated. Down. All 4 LEDs are illuminated. Right. All LEDs are illuminated, and left, all 4 LEDs are illuminated. Clockwise, all 4 LEDs are illuminated. Counterclockwise, all LEDs are illuminated.
Progress under 1,200 meters between the spacecraft and station, slowly making its way to its final destination of the aft port of the Zvezda service module, for which it will stay for the next nearly 7 months.
And to the right, LEDs in the center and on the edges are illuminated. Pulling the handle towards the south, LEDs are illuminated, and pushing the handle, all the LEDs are illuminated. No issues with the THC test.
You've been hearing the Russian interpreter talking to the cosmonauts in the service module as they run through a routine diagnostics test of the Toru backup rendezvous system, and just heard reports that was a good test of Toru.
And the central LEDs are illuminated. Starting 4.3 testing Toru panel commands, and I don't have any questions or issues with the actions in 4.2.
Включена клавиша работа.
Работа. Operation is activated. Range is 800 meters, 880 meters. Range rate 2.4 meters per second.
Выдана пересветка.
AGC mode command send to get a better image.
Now just under 800 meters between Progress and the space station, closing in on a rate of about 2.5 meters per second. Progress has been conducting a series of pre-programmed burns to fine-tune the path on its way to the International Space Station. All have gone by the book. No issues reported as the spacecraft steadily makes its way to meet up with station. Progress will arrive in the neighborhood of the space station about 400 meters away here in about 3 minutes. We'll begin a fly around at about 15 degrees. This will enable the spacecraft to precisely align its forward docking probe with the aft port of the Zvezda service module, where it will be docked to in about 24 minutes. As you can see here in this cross-haired engineering data overlaid camera from the Progress spacecraft, closing in on about 1.5 meters per second. At the time of contact and capture, Progress will slow its speed down to just 1/10 of a second.
Range rate is 1.6 meters per second.
Once contact and capture takes place, there'll be a few seconds to allow the relative motion between the two vehicles to dampen out. Then at that point, the forward docking probe on Progress will begin to retract to bring the two vehicles' surfaces together. Once the two docking surfaces are together, that'll trigger the initiation of hooks closing, and the Progress hooks will close first, followed by Zvezda, and a hard mate will be formed between the two vehicles.
514 meters. The range rate is 1.6 meters per second. Range is 130 meters. Range rate 1.3 meters per second. We have switched to fly around.
Fly around mode has been activated and has begun. The fly-around enables Progress to align its forward docking probe with the aft port of the Zvezda service module, where it will dock to in about 21 minutes from now. Here in about 5 minutes, there will be a brief period of what is called station keeping. It will allow the Russian flight controllers to assess the alignment of progress to the Zvezda docking port before the final approach of the spacecraft. Progress is now approaching the distance of about 260 meters between the spacecraft and station, closing in on about 5.5 meters per second.
Range is 260 meters. Range rate 0.53 meters per second. Fly around is in progress.
Here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, Flight Director Diane Daly is getting a go for docking from her flight controller team. We're at a brief handover of satellites and the tracking data and relay system right now. Here's a look at the Russian flight control team. Progress is currently 220 meters away, closing in on 0.2 of a meter per second. Fly around should be complete in about 3.5 minutes, and we'll begin that very brief period of station keeping.
Range is 230 meters.
That very brief period of station keeping right after the fly around allows the Russian flight controllers to assess the alignment of progress to the docking port before the final approach. Fly around is about to be complete, and that brief station keeping will begin right after.
Range is 190. Range rate is 0.04 meters per second, and roll maneuvers in progress. Sergey, I copy all. This is Ivan Rojnov, SRP. It's good to talk to you. I'm talking to you from MCC Houston right now. How do you read me? Ivan, it's good to hear you. Everything is nominal on board. We are monitoring the nominal progress flight around. And I will be broadcasting my actions and everything that's going on. Yes, please do so. We can hear you, and I will...
What you're seeing here on the external television view from the Progress spacecraft, the spacecraft itself is rolling to correct its orientation for final approach to the aft port of the Zvezda service module.
Procedure. Yes, copy that, Ivan. I'll be using the onboard procedure. Roll maneuver is continuing. Range is 180 meters, and we're almost at a station keeping. The range rate is 0.02 meters per second. Copy all, and you're going to proceed, Sergey. Copy.
Fly around is complete, and we're in a period of station keeping.
Station keeping in the approach corridor confirmed.
Progress about 180 meters away from the International Space Station. We should get the go-ahead to resume final approach here momentarily.
Экипаж, ответьте СУПу Москвы.
ISS crew Moscow. Go ahead, Sergey. In 1 minute, I will have the automatic notable. You don't need to execute any actions for now. Copy.
We're going to brief handover satellites on the tracking data and relay system, but an update to the comms issue between the two mission control centers in Houston and outside of Moscow. We have regained communications between those two control centers. As soon as we're back in range of our tracking data and relay system, we should be beginning final approach then. And we've regained our video here.
Final approach flag is set on both vehicles, and the depot coordinates confirmed, and I confirm acceleration for final approach.
Final approach is now underway.
Target is the crosshairs of the video monitor. Copy.
Docking is scheduled from 10.5 minutes from now.
Range is 167 meters. Range rate 0.79 meters per second. Copy.
Progress is closing in on 150 meters away from the International Space Station. Closing in on a rate of less than a meter per second. And there's our first view from cameras aboard the International Space Station of the uncrewed Progress 95 cargo spacecraft.
Range rate is 0.67 meters per second. Copy.
Progress is currently under 200 meters away from its arrival port at the aft end of the Zvezda service module. And the International Space Station and Progress are currently flying over or approaching the west coast of South America.
Range is 95 and range rate 0.46 meters per second. Copy.
Progress is now under 100 meters away from the International Space Station, carrying nearly 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the crew of Expedition 74.
Just go ahead and set around 1:30. And Moscow is saying that they can see the image and telemetry and everything is fine. Copy, that's good news. Range is 72 meters, range rate 0.3 meters per second. I can see the docking port. Copy.
In preparation for today's arrival, the Zvezda docking port that Progress 95 is making its way to here in just about 7.5 minutes was just vacated a week ago, last Monday, April 20th, with the departure of Progress 93 as it completed its delivery run to the station. The Corps' automated docking system is activated and performing nominally. Once Progress docks to Zvezda, there will be a period of relative motion between the two vehicles that will be given a little bit of time to dampen. Then the forward docking probe on Progress will retract to interlock with the port on Zvezda. It'll bring the two docking interfaces together, initiating the hooks to close and forming a hard mate between the two vehicles.
Range is 48 meters. I can see the docking port and the docking target. Copy. The message is on the display. And
docking system is powered up, and here's a good view of the Zvezda service module, the docking port right at just above the center of the crosshairs. You can make out the docking target, to which the crosshairs are coordinated to in the middle of the screen.
Дальность порядка.
Range is approximately 33 meters, which matches the visual image as well, and the docking target is at the center of the video monitor. Range rate is 0.13 meters per second. Copy.
Course has the docking target in sight from the external television views you see here on your screen from Progress, just under those crosshairs there. Progress is 30 meters away from the aft port of the Zvezda service module here on the space station.
Initial command is sent.
Вводная команда работа.
Работа or
Course is locked in on that docking target that you see to the upper left of the crosshairs in the middle of the screen here.
Принято.
copy. And inaudible command is sent, and it is confirmed. And I am ready to send the command for course scanning antenna closed. Copy.
Сергей, повтори, пожалуйста.
Sergey, please repeat your last.
Есть инструкция АО отведена.
Принято.
Есть база.
Roll angle reference values updated. Copy.
Дальность около...
Range is approximately 20 meters.
Принято.
Copy.
Continuing its nominal approach, closing in on 20 meters away. Closing in on 1/10 of a second.
Дальность по курсу...
Range is approximately 15 meters. Copy.
Approximately 15 meters away, closing in on 1/10 of a meter per second.
Approximately 12 meters. The target is in the center of the video monitor and crosshairs are aligned.
Принято.
Copy. Visually, the range is approximately 6 meters. The target is in the center of the video monitor and crosshairs are aligned. Copy.
Progress proceeding nominally about 10 meters away from the International Space Station. Good alignment and standing by for contact and capture.
Range is approximately 4 meters. And the docking target is next to the center of the VECO video monitor.
Принято.
Copy.
Есть касание...
Contact confirmed.
Contact and capture docking is confirmed.
0349 and mechanical capture confirmed.
Принято. Есть касание. Есть
Copy,
цепка.
contact and capture confirmed.
Docking is confirmed at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, as both vehicles were flying over the east coast of Brazil. The Progress docking probe is in the process of being retracted currently.
This is MCC Moscow. Go ahead. Sergey.
The docking probe retraction will bring the surfaces between Progress and Zvezda flush against one another to enable the initiation of the closing of hooks to form the hard mate.
And standing by for your instructions. Copy.
Here's a view of the Mission Control Center on the outskirts of Moscow. Again, a successful docking of the Progress 95 spacecraft to the International Space Station at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Progress docking probes are in the process of being retracted currently, bringing both docking surfaces of Progress and Zvezda flush against each other to initiate the driving of hooks to form the hard mate between the vehicles. After that hard mate takes place, there'll be some leak checks, and then the crew will begin unloading tomorrow. Progress 95 marks the second cargo mission from Roscosmos to the International Space Station in the past 5 weeks. And just a minute ago, the unpiloted 95 Progress spacecraft pulled into the aft port of the Zvezda service module at the International Space Station at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're in the process of getting the two vehicles hooked up into a hard mate. The external docking probe has been retracted on Progress, and we have confirmation that hooks are now driving. We'll stand by on confirmation that the hooks are closed on both sides of the vehicle. The cosmonauts on board station will conduct a series of leak checks after the hooks are closed to ensure that we have an airtight seal between Progress and Zvezda. Confirmation that hooks are closed. We have confirmation that the hooks are closed between Progress 95 and the Zvezda service module, so we do have a hard mate between Progress and station. And with that, Progress has completed its delivery of nearly 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the Expedition 74 crew. All hooks are closed and docking is complete. Progress 95 began its journey to the International Space Station just over 2 days ago on Saturday evening here Central Time, early Sunday morning Baikonur time. After its 2-day 33-orbit rendezvous, made a nominal approach and docking this evening at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, to the aft port of the Zvezda service module on the International Space Station, delivering nearly 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the crew aboard station. With that, we'll wrap our coverage. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is Mission Control Houston.